what benefits we can get from the natural environment, what is the use of nature also for us as human beings.
That is a concept for link the human to the natures, like how the natures will benefit the human beings.
There is much more than classification things or the frameworks. We can understand the process of the ecosystem and the human act integrated with it.
We all learned the ecosystem in our high school, but we didn't understand the process of how it can really benefit for people.
Pretty confusing for me at first, because I think at first I didn't even realize that in my studies a lot of things are about ecosystem services. So when I first got in contact with the whole concept during a field trip, I was just like, okay, what is that even? I didn't even had a clear definition of what it. We were just using some methods, and I have never heard about it before, but everybody was really in this whole ecosystem service thing, so I was like, okay, I don't even know what this is about. But then when I had the first seminars about the theoretical background and also about the use of the whole concept, this was really helping me to understand why it is something that is of importance. So within the whole learning process, I think I made a process from just understanding that this is some kind of theory to actually also understanding the value, which came a little bit later due to some examples that I was shown, where ecosystem service concept is actually used and how it can really support urban planning.
The ecosystem services is a very complex concept, and also the framework is different in different situations. So at first it's difficult and very confusing, and then maybe during our studies different students try different aspects and we explain to each other, and then it will be step by step more clear.
We did it as a workshop, I think, and it really makes me know how to do the research and really know how to understand this series and how to practice it in our research fields. And with this workshop I can know the ecosystem service more in a detailed way, and I choose which one I like to do the research for, and then I really using this to practice.
This is a very good experience for me, and for the process of the method for my research, I think it is like a circle for my research. I need to know the research questions first, and then I go to the method, but during the process I may know some mistakes, and then I come back to my research questions and method.
I think it's a step-by-step process. First the theoretical aspect of that, and also for this semester we did a little practice to focus on one aspect of ecosystem services and to figure out the theoretical aspects to the real world.
For all those students that they are engaged with nature to some extent, and to their profession later will be maybe to be part of some planning measures and to have influence on how nature and the environment will develop, because this is all related to how many ecosystem services we can get from our environment. And so this is of course mainly some disciplines like urban planning, architecture, but also biologists.
It can be a general courses for every student in the university, but especially for the field in the nature or geography or the biology or maybe some sociology. Students especially, they need to know more about this systems, maybe they will gain more understanding of the work they did.
Something relevant to like all the people. Maybe it's more relevant to the people who learn ecology, like the planning, but like we should all have that conception of the ecosystem services.
A challenge if you have been like confronted with that concept, and then later on in your professional life out of academia nobody even knows what it is. But it can of course also be an opportunity, so it can be something that it might be introduced later in the planning system, and then it's really an advantage if you know about it. So I think it can also be of use not only in academia but also in the professional life, even though this really depends on to what extent it will be implemented, which is also something that students of ecosystem service they can help doing with if they are working later.
We all know that the ecosystem services now is starting to like integrate it more and more into the urban planning procedures and also like the policy making procedures. So I think for both the professional and academical areas it's very important for us to learn about this concept. So yeah, and we also need to learn that how this ecosystem services concept can be used or be adopted to the like whole procedure of urban planning.
After I adapted the ecosystem service framework to my study, I found it more easier for me to understand the process and the people they put in their human capital in the natural capital, and to benefit from it, and also they do something to the nature, really interaction with them. So I think it's for me it's more than the methodology or something, but it really beneficial to understand the research field I'm dealing with. People sometimes did research in their own style, so maybe this is a good thing for us all to have a comparative way to do the research and to share with each other the data or the methodology. We can adapt it to these frameworks together.
And maybe we can do more field work and to really see how we can get this kind of ecosystem services from the natural world.
Start with the basics to really explain what the whole like theory is about and also why it is important, because I think I only understood the theory once I realized what this is all about, like that the idea is to actually integrate this whole natural and environmental aspects into planning and to show planners how important nature is, and that this can really be expressed by this concept. So I only was able to understand the theoretical background once I understood the value of the whole thing. And the second thing that I would recommend is that it would be really helpful to have maybe one like introductory work or something into ecosystem services, because also all these different frameworks and articles, they can be really confusing if you have never heard about this before. So and even in some of the standard literature on geography that I normally use if I don't know anything about a concept yet, there's nothing about ecosystem services in there, so this was also not really helpful. So yeah, that might be a good idea, because then one might not need to go through all the massive amount of literature on ecosystem services in order to kind of understand what is the idea behind all of that.